Welcome. Today we're going to be speaking with John Robbins. John is the author of Diet for a New America, just being released in its 25th anniversary edition. As the only son of the founder of the Baskin & Robbins ice cream empire, John was being groomed to follow in his father's footsteps. He chose instead to walk away from Baskin & Robbins, from the immense wealth that represented, to pursue his own dream. A life dedicated to health, education, and activism. He's now largely considered to be one of the world's greatest experts on the connection between diet, health, and the environment. Without further ado, let's get John on the set. Hey, John.
Hi, Tom.
Thanks for joining us today. John, why is this book still relevant?
Because the problems that it addresses and exposes are still with us, and some of them are increasing. Because people want to be healthy, and they need to know where their food is coming from. And a lot of times industry lies about it. We don't have labeling on genetically engineered foods, so we can't tell which ones are and which ones aren't. We don't know which meat products are coming from factory farms and which ones are coming from more humanely raised operations. And people need to know, in order to make informed choices, what the reality is behind the foods that they might be eating.
How has the meat industry changed since the days of the family farm?
The changes are so great that it's a different animal completely. I mean, the animals are different too, because they have been, in many cases, bred for production, not for health value, and not for traits that actually are functional to them. So you have chickens being bred, for example, to gain so much weight so fast that the animals can't stand up. Their legs buckle and break, and this happens in a matter of weeks after they're born.
I've seen some of the videos of the way animals are treated in these meat production plants, and they're really devastating.
It's so cruel. It is more cruel than people realize. And it's more cruel, actually, than a lot of us want to look at. I'm not telling people where to draw the line. Each of us will draw it in a different place. But you can't draw it effectively and in a way that makes sense and is congruent with your own values unless you have accurate information.
You talk a lot about the connection between meat production and global warming. Tell us something about that.
It's extreme. There was a study at the University of Chicago that concluded that a meat-eating Prius driver would actually have a higher carbon footprint, would be producing more greenhouse gas emissions, in effect, than a vegan who was driving a Hummer. Now, I don't think there are very many vegans driving Hummers, and there aren't very many Hummers around anymore. But the point is valid that our food choices, and in particular, whether we're eating meat products or not, has an enormous impact on our carbon and global footprint, and our entire ecological footprint, in fact.
You've also spoken very eloquently about the connection between our diets and the epidemic of cancer and heart disease in this country. Tell us a little more about that, please.
Well, the data is so convincing, it's so compelling at this point, that if you want to lower your risk of heart disease, if you want to have a stronger cardiovascular system, you need to eat less animal fats in particular, and less animal proteins as well. That the high meat diet, the high dairy diet that we've come to take as the reward of affluence is in fact causing the tremendous amount of heart disease that we have. And also, as you mentioned, contributing to cancer, contributing to diabetes, contributing to weight problems, contributing to a plethora of illnesses that plague us today, which needn't do so if we eat a more plant-strong diet.
So what have we done right in the last 25 years?
In the last 25 years, there has been a lot of awareness developing. There's been a growth in understanding that the way we treat animals in farming practices impacts our health. And that's significant. The consequences of treating animals cruelly to our health is really marked, it's dramatic, and it's compelling to anybody who really is interested in living with respect for yourself and for life.
If you were to leave somebody with tips that would help the average person really make a difference today in terms of how they eat, how they purchase their food, what to be aware of, what would you say?
Well, where you shop is important. Ideally, grow some food yourself if you can, or buy from a neighbor, or at least from a farmer's market or a CSA, community supported agriculture, where you have a contact with the grower. So read labels, pay attention, be aware, get as many of your nutrients from plant sources as possible. And that includes your protein, as well as your fats and carbohydrates, your vitamins and minerals, and all the other elements you need to have a healthy body. Animal protein is not superior. We have been led to believe that it was, but the medical evidence is so convincing now that the more plant-strong your diet is, the more plants that you eat in their natural forms, the better. What's most important is that you eat natural foods, whole foods, and the state as close to nature as possible. And when you get your diet back into a natural, earth-based way, you find that your body will thank you for the rest of your life.
Well, John, thanks so much for talking to us today. It's been great. Really appreciate it. You're a powerful advocate. You're so eloquent on this topic, and I know you're making a real difference.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Okay. So once again, that's a 25th anniversary edition of Diet for a New America by John Robbins, published by New World Library. If you care about making educated choices about your life, your health, and your future, this book is a powerful read. Thanks for listening.